We all think we know vitamin C. It's in oranges, it helps with a cold, but what if it could do a whole lot more? Today, we're going to dive into some absolutely fascinating research where massive intravenous doses of vitamin C are being put to the test alongside standard cancer treatments. And let me tell you, the early results are really turning some heads. We're going to break down exactly why.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we need to understand the enemy, a really tough cancer called glioblastoma. Then we'll get into why high-dose vitamin C is a totally different beast. After that, we'll dig right into a clinical trial, look at the jaw-dropping survival data, see how this fits into the bigger picture with other cancers, and then wrap it all up with a really, really important word of caution.
So to really get why this new research is such a big deal, we have to start by understanding the opponent. And in this story, the opponent is one of the toughest out there, a type of brain cancer called glioblastoma.
Yeah, GBM is just relentless. Even with everything we can throw at it, aggressive surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, the outlook for patients has been stubbornly and tragically poor for a very long time.
This is the number that just haunts doctors and researchers. A median survival of just 14 to 16 months. It's that stark reality that drives this non-stop, urgent search for new therapies, not to replace what we have, but to find something that can make our best treatments work even better.
And that sense of urgency has actually led scientists to take another look at a molecule we all know, but to look at it through a completely modern scientific lens. Yep, we're talking about vitamin C.
It's a question that's been floating around for decades, right? But honestly, there was always more debate than data. Now modern science is starting to give us some real, specific answers, and it all begins with a critical distinction that really changes the entire conversation.
Okay, this right here is the absolute key. The vitamin C you get from a pill or from your food is totally different from what's used in this research. Why? Because your gut can only absorb so much, but the therapy we're talking about uses an IV drip. It bypasses your gut completely, and that allows doctors to achieve blood concentrations that are hundreds of times higher. It's not even in the same ballpark.
So how in the world did researchers actually test this idea? Well, let's take a look inside a key phase 1 clinical trial that focused specifically on those newly diagnosed glioblastoma patients.
Now, it is so important to understand what a phase 1 trial is all about. Its number one goal is safety. The main question isn't, hey, does this work? The question is much simpler. Is it safe to add high-dose IV vitamin C to the already intense standard treatment for glioblastoma? That's it. Safety first.
So here's how they set it up. They had 11 patients, and all of them got the full standard of care treatment. That's radiation plus a powerful chemo drug. Then, on top of that, they were given these high-dose vitamin C infusions several times a week. And all the while, the researchers were watching them like hawks, looking for any sign that this new combination was causing more problems or side effects than the standard treatment does on its own.
And the trial did answer its main question. Yes, it was safe. The combination was well tolerated. But while safety was the main point of the study, the other data they collected, the data on patient survival, well, it was so striking that it immediately kicked the door open for more research.
Just take a look at this. Historically, the median overall survival for this disease is around 14.5 months. But in this small trial, the patients who also got the IV vitamin C, their median survival was 18 months. That's an increase of over 3 months. In a disease like this, that is a huge signal.
And it wasn't just overall survival. They also looked at what's called progression-free survival, basically how long you go before the cancer starts to grow again. Historically, that's about 7 months, but in this trial, it was almost 9.5 months. Again, a really significant jump in a fight where every single day counts.
So what about the side effects? I mean, you'd think adding another treatment would just make things worse, right? Well, this is where it gets really fascinating. When you look at the severe side effects, the patients getting the vitamin C didn't have more toxicity. They actually seemed to have less fatigue and fewer issues with their blood platelets than you'd typically see. The only new side effects were really minor things like a dry mouth or some chills.
Now, these results for glioblastoma are super encouraging, but they don't exist in a vacuum. Let's pull the camera back a bit, because this is all part of a much bigger, growing field of research called integrative oncology, which is all about carefully combining these kinds of therapies with standard medical care.
Look, this isn't just about brain cancer. We're seeing these intriguing signals in other really tough cancers too. For metastatic pancreatic cancer, one trial saw that adding IV vitamin C was linked to a doubling of overall survival, I mean, think about that. In lung cancer, about a third of patients had a partial response, with one person having this incredible remission that lasted over 4 years.
This quote from that pancreatic cancer study really says it all. Now, a hazard ratio is just a fancy statistical term, but a number like 0.46 is a big deal. It basically suggests that patients getting the combination therapy had a more than 50% lower risk of death at any given time. In the world of cancer research, a number like that makes everyone sit up and pay very close attention.
Okay, so as exciting as all of this is, we have to land on what is, without a doubt, the single most important message of this entire explainer. So I need you to lean in for this part.
I cannot say this loudly or clearly enough. The findings we've been talking about are from early clinical trials. They are promising signals, but they are not proven off-the-shelf treatments. This is cutting-edge stuff, and it has to be done under strict medical supervision.
You know, the whole point of an explainer like this isn't to give you answers, it's to help you ask better, more informed questions. It's about giving you information so you can have a real, productive conversation with your own medical team, because they are the only people qualified to give you actual medical advice. Which really leaves us with this final, hopeful question, doesn't it? As the research continues, as we get more data from bigger trials, what role will these evidence-based therapies, like high-dose vitamin C, actually play? How might they help build a future where cancer care is not only more effective, but maybe a little bit gentler too? That is the shot of hope this research gives us.